Today, we're looking at Krishna's Thulsi. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Krishna's Thulsi is a green ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day, I then put it into a Pierre Cardin President with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we look at the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita. I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see is, as it pushes up, we see some yellows at the bottom of those greens, and then we see this very nice blue across the top. Now, I don't think that green is a mixing of the blue and the yellow. I think it's its own color, and the three of them are mixed together. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And we see the same thing where we see some of the yellows, we see this beautiful green, and this great bright blue. The thing is, they're more bunched together, and we do see this kind of trailing super light green at the bottom. It's that trailing super light green at the bottom that does make me think that this green is its own green and not just a mixture of that yellow and blue. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles itself well enough. There's quite a bit of spread, there's the beginning of some blurriness, but it's not blown out and it is easy to read, which makes me be willing to use it in a note-taking situation. I wouldn't call it safe, I'd say it may be willing. Water, we see is completely reactivating and pulling it off of the page. We're starting to see the dots of the Rhodia dot pad. Now that's only 30 seconds, and I believe that given longer or perhaps a soaking in water is all that it's going to take to get this out of your pen. Now, pen flush actually is doing a little bit more than water does. You have to look to where the white of the paper is starting to come through. So with only 30 seconds, it can break through 100% and make it very white paper coming out, making me say that if for some reason the water wasn't enough, the pen flush definitely will be. 1/3 bleach solution, as is expected, obliterates it and completely removes it, but there's no need to use a 1/3 bleach solution. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Krishna's Thulsi has a viscosity of 3.89, making this a very, very dry, probably dense ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Krishna's Thulsi has an average dry time of 18 seconds, so despite how dry and dense this ink is, its dry time is normal. Now, let's look at the writing sample.
I picked this ink up in bottle form when I ordered a tremendous amount of inks from them. It took a couple months to get here, and I ordered everything they had because it was going to take so long, and they were really inexpensive. They were like $3 a bottle when I ordered them. But I ordered them from India. I understand why they do cost so much here in the States. I'm just saying, if you order from India and you order direct, you do save significantly. I'm glad I found them when I did. I'm glad I made all those orders when I did. There has been a bunch of winners. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Now, these samples were done during the great paper shortage of the early 2019, this year. And I don't have as many papers at this particular point. I think I went through a couple days where I had less, so we're bound to see some more come up like this. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. That looks better. But it does have some very nice shading going on with the 1.1. Krishna looks very dark, but the S looks much lighter. And a lot of Thulsi looks lighter, but then we get darker spots, like the top of the L or the H, the hump of the H. Beautiful. Now the the extra fine is slightly darker as a tone. The slightly darker tone has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It has some very nice shading that's going on, like in Quick. It starts dark, gets light, gets dark again. Brown starts dark and gets light. Over starts light and gets dark. Wonderful. 9 seconds to dry. Now, medium becomes a significantly darker tone than the extra fine, significantly darker than the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and with that darkness, no shade. 17 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, although in the extra fine we do see color variation, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Tomoe River. No bleeding, but we do get ghosting. Move it, paper. There we go. Center your frame. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade. It's a beautiful green here, but it has no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade. 16 seconds to dry. Medium is a significantly darker tone than the extra fine or the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade. 34 seconds to dry, but this green looks worth it. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we got none. And the smear test, no. You cannot recover. Rhodia. That's not a bleed spot. That's me being messy. There's no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shading. So the shading that we got on the Clairefontaine looks like it's only Clairefontaine, but because I'm not really seeing it show up anywhere else. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade. 11 seconds to dry. The medium is significantly darker than the extra fine or the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both. Now, the scrubby of the extra fine shows some color variation, but I got none. The scrubby of the medium shows no color variation, and I got none. And the smear test I could recover if I smeared while I was writing. And last up is Hazel Notebook. So when I ordered all those inks, I ordered a few of these notebooks. This is my last one. I am looking forward to finishing up getting through these inks in samples. I think I got 4, maybe 5 more. Looking over, I see 4 more in the future. I don't think I get to them this year. I think I get to them at the beginning of next year. But the Noonday Brocade Pocketbook, fantastic. It's a nice toothy paper. It's not normally what you think of for fountain pens, but it works great. It is a champ. And it has no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, beautiful green. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. 6 seconds to dry. Now the medium, this darker tone, significantly darker than the extra fine or 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. It took 10 seconds to dry. I wrote wow. I don't remember why. It seemed like it was very fast for how this was going. It still seems like a very nice, quick drying ink for that. Under 10 seconds, I'm pretty good. And I say under 10, I'm including the 10. I'm doing the mathematical less than or equal to 10. The the scrubby for both show no color variation, and we got none. And the smear test, you could recover this. It's harder to see on camera, but you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Krishna's Thulsi, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. And I was wanting a very pink, but I found a nice pink with a magenta-leaning color. Diamine Cerise. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Krishna's Thulsi? I think this is a fantastic green tone that makes me smile while I'm writing with it. It gives me a very happy feeling. And if you're using wetter pens and write really fast, it really brings out the shading. And that was kind of a specific thing that happened that was strange. But if you're a fast writing person, the shading gets to be a little bit more and a little bit nicer on this ink when you do that. Thanks for watching.